This is The Backstory with Omobola Stephen. It's a balanced, objective, unbiased and disruptive conversation on government and politics. We shine more light on what has not worked and what would make it work. And now, to the finest personable and engaging host extraordinaire, Omobola Stephen. Tune in.
You are now tuned in to this week's episode of our podcast. Today we are going to interview some of the greatest and most influential minds in our field. By sharing our collective expertise, we will show you how to harness, control, and use your own skill set to achieve ultimate success and live the life you want. And now, please welcome your host.
Have you on the Backstory with Omobola Stephen. On the show, we like to focus on government and politics with other subtopics like the environment science and technology and society and culture. We like to focus on what has not worked and what we make it work. On the Backstory today, we will be focusing on cybersecurity and on AI, where the industry is heading at. And I have an expert with me on the show today who's going to dissect the issue. I have Evgeniy Kharam, a cybersecurity architect and also a podcaster. Hi, Evgeniy. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Grateful to be here today. And it's a very important topic to talk about it.
Thank you so much. I'm really looking forward to a great time with you going forward. I'd like us to begin with AI and the cybersecurity landscape. 91% of people think AI is the future of cybersecurity. Do you think this is true?
This is a very interesting question because ChatGPT kind of exploded last year around October, but AI was available not from last year. It's been around for probably at least like 10 years, just not so widely used. So right now, after ChatGPT exploded, everybody thinks AI going to replace everything, not just cybersecurity, but everything else. In cybersecurity, there was use cases for AI. There is definitely use cases right now for AI as well. And I think it will take a big chunk and big part of cybersecurity, but it's not going to be replacing everything in cybersecurity. There is use cases for ChatGPT and AI and generative AI as well. But it's not going to replace everything. There's still a lot of work that needs to be done by humans. There's still a lot of work that needs to be done by design, architecture. There are interesting rumors right now that maybe part of work, like project management, for example, could be done by AI. So we'll see. We don't know everything, but there is definitely a big part of AI that can be integrated to our day-by-day and to cyber as well.
Really, now you talk about ChatGPT. Now we know that it is there. What do you think that we really need to know about ChatGPT? And second question is, are there risks that it poses to cybersecurity at the moment?
So when ChatGPT came around, everybody was very, very excited. Everybody used it to create new articles, to generate images, to put their private information. And it took couple of weeks, even months, to realize that you shouldn't be putting everything there. For example, if you want to write a letter to your, maybe friend, and you want to make sure the grammar is correct, or you want to write a nice article, then it's one point. But let's say you want to write a letter to your doctor, and you have a very interesting or very sophisticated condition, and you're going to put a lot of private information in this letter. You need to think about it. Do you want to share it with ChatGPT? Would you share it with your neighbors, for example? Would you share it with somebody you don't know? Maybe you share it with a friend. And by putting this information in ChatGPT, you potentially put it in a history of ChatGPT. Now, we're not saying that somebody will be able to get to this letter, but ChatGPT says whatever you put here, make sure you know what's the information there. Right now, almost 8 months after they came out, right now, when you log into ChatGPT, it will actually inform you, make sure you only put information you're okay to share. Similar to Facebook. Would you put your picture on the Facebook? Maybe. Would you put your picture without clothes or in some kind of uncomfortable situations? Probably not, because you don't want anybody to see this. And this should be the same idea when you use ChatGPT. You want to be conscious of what kind of information you ask ChatGPT to help you with, because potentially it will be in their memory and potentially be used somewhere in the future.
Oh, really? Okay, now moving on. During the COVID-19 pandemic, we understand that cyber crimes have been fueled by that COVID-19 pandemic. So business becomes more vulnerable to ransomware attacks. Tell me, what are some cybersecurity threats that we need to begin to watch out, especially in these unpredictable times that we are in?
We need to divide them between different things. There's like enterprise cybersecurity and personal cybersecurity. On the enterprise level, as regular consumers, there's not a lot we can do if we're not working in the industry. But for the personal level, we definitely need to watch stuff because we are dealing with enterprises. So as the basic one, we want to make sure our passwords are not used everywhere. What I mean by this, don't use one password in your Facebook, in your bank account, and your work as well. Have different passwords, or better, even use password manager. Now, it is related to enterprise because you may be working in an enterprise and you have your personal life, and you want to separate between them, between your day-by-day life and your work life as well. And this is related to actually to enterprises because many people got hacked on the personal account, and then the bad guys tried to use the same passwords in the enterprises where they work and was able to get in. So there's a bit of a correlation between the work you've been doing and your day-by-day life and where you're working as well. So passwords is one. Use passwords management is very, very important. You want to use what we call multi-factor authentication. It's mean when you log into your bank or your health provider or you even your Facebook, you're not going to just use the password. You may have a notification coming to your phone to let you get in there. You may say it potentially inconvenient to you, but it's not so inconvenient to you. It's usually only happening one time when you log in from a new system. So there are some basic hygiene, what I call them, that you want to do to make sure you're doing them. Could be similar to when you going to a vacation, you're closing all the doors in the house, you make sure the water is not running, you make sure the gas is not working, and you maybe want somebody else to kind of have a look on the house to make sure nobody's getting there as well. So similar in cybersecurity, passwords become a hygiene. Sharing documents become a hygiene. If you leave your laptop unattended, it's a hygiene. You're not locking your laptop, it's also a hygiene part. Understanding where you're putting your documents is also important. Teaching your kids about cybersecurity and passwords and what information to exchange is also important. To the point that even when you're going to vacation, you're not going on Facebook and say, everybody, I'm going to Jamaica tomorrow for a week. And your Facebook has all the information where you're living. So the bad guy is like, oh, this is interesting. Evgeniy going to vacation and we know where Evgeniy is living. It's a good idea to go visit his house. You know?
Oh, absolutely. That's a very important information. Now, you're talking about teaching kids and online safety. What about the adults? We've had adults in recent times who have fallen prey to these internet fraudsters. Now, talking about email communication and also some other important apps like Zoom, major apps, online apps that's really hard to use. What are the things, or what are the important steps we need to be taking in order to really protect ourselves from all these online fraudsters?
So you actually brought a very important topic that I didn't mention, an email. Majority of the communication right now happening over email from their banks or even the government. Yes, or between friends, we may be using WhatsApp, Signal, Telegram, or Facebook Messenger, or Apple Messengers. But over email, we have a lot of notifications from our banks, from the government, and a health provider. And unfortunately, the bad guys know this, and sometimes they fake emails, or they try to scare people. And with the adult population, they sometimes don't really understand quickly from where the email came. Not just adult population, it could happen to anyone, and get scared and press on links or answer the emails and start talking to the bad guys. So I always cautious people, don't be very quick to respond to emails, understand from where the email came. And there are some basic back to hygiene. So for example, somebody tell you, oh, your Apple password was compromised, or your Amazon password was compromised. Click on the link here to reset the password. If you see this, don't click on any links. Go back to Amazon and change the passwords there, not using the link. But if you're hovering with your mouse on a link, you may see where it's going. You may not really going to be sure because there's going to be a lot of letters there and there's many different domains right now. So it's going to be confusing potentially as well. This is why I'm always saying, don't click on the links, go to the application and also see this. There's also a lot of time. Here is your money transfer. Click here to receive your money. If you didn't expect money, why would you have money transfer? Sometimes you get text with these messages as well. So email is important to look and understand. And if you're not sure, have somebody in your life where you can call them and ask them. It could be your friends, it could be your kids, or maybe even have a partial technical support someone where you can call them and ask them. So this is email related. What was the other question? I missed it.
I also talk about some major important apps that we use in our day-to-day business activities. Sometimes we use Zoom, we use LinkedIn, and other social media apps aside Facebook or Instagram.
So
I'd like you to share information on that.
LinkedIn is in a way similar because it's actually a business platform. So I hope not a lot of bad guys using this right now. At least I didn't see this. I see more people trying to send you information to buy stuff, and LinkedIn still have a lot of accounts that are not real, but they've been fighting with this. It will be similar to applying to email. You want to read what people send to you and why they send you this particular link, and why would you want to click on it. And if you're not looking for services, if you're not looking for anything else, don't click on links that people try to send you. Here is a link, click on review my sales approach, and we get $50 gift card. Don't do this, don't try to chase small money and have a bigger problem. With Zoom during the pandemic, you probably had multiple options of issues when people just got call bombing and just jump on a Zoom call where you didn't expect them, especially with kids also happening as well, was a bit scary. So they did implement many security measures, and not just Zoom, Teams and other companies as well, to provide password, to put people on almost like a backstage. So if you and me have a meeting and you don't know who I am, I'll go on a backstage and you have to allow me to log in. So if you and me talking right now and somebody will have this link, maybe without a password, they're not going to automatically be jumping into this meeting. You have to put them in a backstage and you have to approve them. Same happening with Teams. So when you send people a link like this, you want to make sure you have this information there. So if it's a password protected, or you put people on a backstage before you allow them to get in. This way you can control who is there and what's happening. And you, the host, have options to kick people out from the meeting. So let's say you join a meeting with multiple people and somebody is misbehaving because maybe it's a new people that you're trying to meet and you don't like what they do. You can mute them, or as a host, you can also kick them out of the meeting.
Right. Thank you, Evgeniy, for that important information you just shared. Now, I think we're missing something here. We're missing the cybersecurity vendors. How do you think, or how can we better work with them?
With cybersecurity, who?
Vendors.
Oh, vendors. Oh, yeah, this is an important part. Everybody always trying to sell us information. If this is a consumer or if enterprises, there's more than 4,000 cybersecurity vendors right now. So as a consumer, you want to understand what you need. You probably need some kind of antivirus on your device, and you may ask, how do I buy one? There's many available online. I am a big believer of buying a program and not using a free program, because free program need to make money somehow. When you're buying a program, you're paying for your goods, and they're going to probably provide better service versus just a free one where you don't know how they actually making money. And if you have a small business, you may need more information like firewalls and email security. One of the best way to buy and make sure dealing with vendors is to, first of all, understand what are your friends buying? Why is they using this? Or have somebody else third-party opinion on some vendors. It could be from your IT people or somebody else as well. Another one is when you talk to a vendor, make sure they're a human being. You're buying from a human being if you're not buying just online, click, and why they're selling this. So understand this part. Make sure they're not just trying to sell you something for you to buy. And also review the approach. You could buy it for monthly payment, but then they will try to sell you an annual payment, for example, even 3 years payment. And the longer you're buying, the less money you're going to be paying. I will advise not to jump for a new vendor and buy for a 3 years contract, but maybe buy for a year, because it's going to probably decrease the price by 15, 20, or even 40%. and go from there. If you buying a vendor and they have a reduction of price by like 60 or 80%, I'll be a bit cautious because there's a big reduction and you don't know it's going to be around next time. Also understand from where is this vendor. If you're in US or Canada and Europe, understand from where this vendor is coming. Are they local in your country? Do they have support for you? If you need to call them, would they actually answer the phone? How long they've been in business? You can go back to LinkedIn and understand what is this vendor, understand how long they've been around, how many people work there. Are there like 5 people show up, or 50 people show up, or 5,000 people show up? So there's a lot of information available online that can help you to determine if this vendor is real. And thinking about this the same with cars, or maybe TV manufacturing, so phone manufacturers. You're not going to buy or your phone or TV from an unknown company completely. You're going to do some research to understand from where is it coming and read some reviews. Or even go to Facebook, to groups, and ask people information. Hey, I found this interesting vendor. Would you recommend me to buy them or not?
Now, in line with just what you talk about, I think AI is doing some way or somewhat more harm than good in this regard. Because we're talking about confirming the vendors. Don't you think sometimes these vendors or AI comes to play in this regard? So we are not sure who we are really dealing directly with. Is it human or is it AI?
It's an interesting question you have. If you're talking over the bot, then you will see it. You can ask some questions and you understand if it's AI or bot. If you're talking over the phone, yeah, it could be confusing as well, but you can always ask him different questions to understand what it is. You may ask, do I really care if it's AI or human? Depend what I'm buying. Probably in one point, we're gonna buy from AI as well. I'm guessing, next 3, 4, 5 years. And if it's giving the information you need and you understand what's happening, it's probably going to be okay. There is rumors right now about AI doctors as well in the future, or assistants. We definitely see this in the movies and in the books we read for the last 20 years. So there is a chance it's going to happen. So in my perspective, I personally would like to deal with the human, at least for now. I'm okay to talk to AI if I'm just looking for information, but I want to buy eventually from a human being. Having said this, I can go online and buy a laptop without human being because I read all the reviews, or buy the phone from a website without talking to a person. It's all going to be back to the size of what you're buying and if you're going to need services later on, because you may buy a product that you need somebody to configure or to deploy or to make sure it's working correctly. If you're buying, let's go back to buying, or maybe in a video system to make sure your home has a video surveillance and alarm. You probably can buy it anywhere you want, but then you will need a professional person to understand what's the best way to put it in your home or in your office. This could be the same if you're buying some kind of a security vendor to protect your company, that you're not just buying it, you need to understand how to best deploy it. And this is the part where I would like to talk to a human being to understand who will support me, who will do this work. Can I do it myself? Do I need somebody else to do it?
Well, now let's talk about the small business owners who are contributing a great deal of to the GDP of most economies. Do you think that the small business owners, do you think they also need to protect themselves from these threats? And how can they do
that? Definitely. I think small, medium business is one of the biggest threats we have right now in Canada, US, and also Europe, because they don't have the money to get the big vendors, to get the expensive consulting person. And they don't always understand that they're like, oh, I'm small. Nobody going to care about me. Nobody going to touch me. That's not always the case, unfortunately. We have a lot of industry confirmations about small, medium businesses being hacked, their data being ransomware, encrypted, and they're losing access to their data. So they definitely need help. They definitely want to read. There's a couple of articles I can share later on if you want. Maybe you can put it in the notes about what they can do. We spoke about passwords. We spoke about multi-factor authentication, about email security, about document shares. I will definitely suggest the small, medium businesses to have someone helping them, reviewing where they are right now, and kind of build them A program. Now, certain governments and certain states in Canada and US as well, provinces, they offer help for SMBs. They offer guidance for SMBs from the government. There's frameworks that help you to become more secure. So I definitely suggest for people to go and review. If they have a few questions, I'm happy if you connect on me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to answer some of the basics. And I can definitely read and ask information. There's also, if you're a small, medium business, don't be afraid to hire a managed service provider, somebody that specializes in IT and cybersecurity to help you with day-by-day tasks.
All right. Now, talking about the technical world and in sales, do you think that we need soft skills, or how important is soft skills in technical worlds and in sales?
This is something that is very close to my heart. I think soft skills are fundamentally important, especially right now when we lose this opportunity to go people to do lunches all the time. During pandemic, it's Oswald, Zoom, and Teams, as you mentioned. And right now, many people still doing remote calls. So ability to connect to people, to listen to people was important before, but I think it's more important right now because the attention span we have is decreased even more. So connect to people, understand people, make sure they're interested in what you're talking, not just you talking, but also listen to what they need and understand how they consume information. I am a big believer of this. I'm always trying to improve my skills and help other people as well.
Thank you so much, Evgeniy Kharam, for sharing your thoughts on today's show, talking about cybersecurity and AI. Such a very important topic for discussion for such a time as this. My audience would like to get to learn about any interesting information you'd like to share with them or any project in the pipeline.
I think I suggest to everyone, keep it up to date, start listening to some podcasts, start listening and reading some documents, not all the time, but at least from time to time. Also, for me personally, like I have kids, I want to teach my kids how to be safe online. What does it mean to be safe online? When they communicate with their friends, understand why people connect with them. So keep this education to your kids. Don't just do it yourself. Explain to your kids. The same as 20 years ago, we explained to kids, don't take candy from strangers. And this is the place we're going to meet in the park. Explain to them about cybersecurity. And if you don't know, there's programs, there's YouTube videos, there's books for kids. There's a lot of information available online to help you and your kids to be safer and kind of have a bit easier life, not to be afraid from everything.
All right. Any projects in the pipeline that you'd like to share with my audience?
I'm actually working on a book. I'm working on a book about soft skills in technical sales. And I'm working on many more episodes in the Security Architecture podcast with myself and my friend Dimitri.
Absolutely. I know that you're a podcaster, so that makes the two of us. I wish you best of luck in all the projects we embark upon. Like to get to know about your social media handles and your website.
The best way to find me is probably going to be on LinkedIn. If you just Google Evgeniy Kharam, there are not too many Evgenys there, so you'll be able to find me fast. And you can find the podcast securityarchitecture.org as well. Thank you.
All right. Thank you so much, Evgeniy Kharam, for your time on the show. I really appreciate once again. Now, if you'd like to catch up with any missed episodes of the Backstory with Omobola Stephen, you can catch up any cross-promotion platforms or any distribution platforms you bump into online, and do have a great time listening to thought leaders, experts, and professionals share their thoughts on any topics under this. I need you to stay safe. I talk soon.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.